Today I wanted to share with you 10 do's and don'ts when it comes to learning a language. Language learning can be very rewarding, especially if you actually get to become fluent in the language and use it. There are tons of beautiful languages out there, but if you never get to speak it, it really is a shame. So if you are in the midst of learning a language, or you're thinking of starting one, or you have been studying one for quite some time, this video is just a bit of insight into what it takes. And I have lots of new videos coming up, so stay tuned for all of those. Without further ado, here are 10 do's and don'ts when it comes to learning a language. Number 1, do pick a language that you'll be able to use. When learning a language, it will take you lots of time, dedication, commitment, and it's really important to choose one that you know that you'll be able to speak or read or write in the future. If you know that you have a business trip coming up to a certain place, or you have friends and family that speak a different language, you might be more encouraged to practice. Now, when I was younger, I tried to learn a bunch of different languages for different reasons, but didn't always succeed because I never had someone to speak with or a reason to use it. I first tried to learn Japanese because I really wanted to be able to understand the anime that I was watching. And I also thought that I would be able to go to Tokyo one day. I did do a bit of self-studying, but it didn't go very far, and I actually stopped learning it after a while. I also tried to learn German, but I didn't have any friends or family that spoke it, and I wasn't planning any trips to Europe anytime soon, so I didn't actually continue practicing the language. Nowadays, it's a lot easier to find someone who can speak the language, especially with new online apps and things like that. But when I was younger, I didn't have all those resources, so I really kind of let those languages go, even as much as I did try to practice them. So I would encourage you to think about your language goal and why you want to learn this language, and that will actually help you succeed. Number 2, don't let someone discourage you from learning a hard language. Many people might tell you that languages such as Cantonese or Polish are difficult to learn, but I would encourage you to do your research and find the proper study tips and resources, and you can succeed in whatever you put your dedication and passion into. So never let someone discourage you from even trying. Number 3, do begin with common greetings. Knowing certain phrases that are common in everyday speech, such as hello, goodbye, how are you, thank you, please, are really good to know in multiple languages because they're the first things that you say to people when you meet them. And it's always nice to add a little bit of someone's language to the conversation, even if you're not trying to learn that language. So for example, just knowing how to say thank you in multiple languages is really heartfelt and shows people that you are open and that you care about them and you're willing to go to that extra mile to kind of make them feel comfortable and welcome. Number 4, don't expect to be fluent in one day. A lot of people think that learning a language is something that you can do by absorbing information. So if anyone remembers that episode of Dexter's Lab where he falls asleep with the tape recorder and then the next day all he can say is omelette du fromage, I really don't think that languages work that way. It can take you years to become fluent in a language, and it's really important to know that you have to put in effort. So as much as common greetings are great, you need to sit down and practice vocabulary, grammar, and structure of the language. Number 5, do immerse yourself in the language. When you immerse yourself in the language, this may include watching movies, listening to music, having the news or television shows on, and a really good thing to do is constantly listen to those things in that language every day. When I was learning Tagalog, I actually would watch movies and sometimes without the subtitles, and I listened to tons of original Filipino music in order to hear the way they pronounced things, and even just doing everyday things like when you're cooking, listening to a recipe or things like that will help the language kind of sink in better. Number 6, don't lose sight of your goal. So if you have a language goal, a really good idea is to constantly remind yourself why. Why are you learning the language in the first place? If it is for a business trip, or let's say you're trying to speak to your friends and family, a good idea is to remember that, because we can get lost in just listening to music in other languages, and sometimes we just tune those things out. We normally tune out sounds and languages that we don't understand. So even if you think, you have the music on in the background, you're not going to learn anything if you don't do those extra steps. So don't lose sight of your goal and keep yourself on track when it comes to practicing and doing your daily lessons. Number 7, do use resources such as a dictionary or a translator for words you don't know. Oftentimes when we are reading or listening to music, we may come across words that are unfamiliar, and a really good way to learn those and add those to our own vocabulary is to look them up in a dictionary. There are many things such as, online translators. One of my favorites I've been using is word reference, and wordreference.com is actually a dictionary, but it gives you different word meanings because, as you know, some words will have different meanings. So it gives you the whole variety of definitions. You can also use an actual dictionary or a verb dictionary. These are very helpful as well. Number 8, don't use a translator for the whole sentence. When we're first starting out learning a language, it's very tempting to just type in a sentence and then have Google translate it and voila. But it doesn't really work that way because we often lose the importance of understanding the structure of the language. When we actually seek out to translate it ourselves, even if there are mistakes, we can learn easier. But when we translate the whole sentence, we kind of lose a bit of the learning process. Number 9, do seek out lessons and classes when possible. Check in your area for whatever free classes are available. Oftentimes, school boards will have Saturday classes for different languages, and you can also check apps such as Duolingo and multiple different things online that are for people learning languages. You can do phone calls and video chats with people from those countries or people who speak the language, and you can also do meetups if you're into that. Number 10, don't depend on other people to help you learn. As much as a teacher is very important in the learning process, I do think that being able to be self-disciplined and study on your own is a very good skill to have in whatever you're studying. When it comes to learning a language, you can actually go farther when you have that dedication and you sit down daily and do a practice. I would recommend that even if you are taking classes, you still would have to do work outside of that. I hope you enjoyed these 10 do's and don'ts when it comes to learning a language. I really do hope that everyone gets a chance in their lifetime to learn at least another language other than their mother tongue, because it really does shift your perspective when it comes to the way that you speak, the way that you converse, and the way that you think. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, and I'll be more than happy to share with you another video on this topic. I have lots of interesting tips that have helped me when I was studying languages, so I really wanted to share them with you guys as well. If you guys speak another language, please let me know down below. I would love to hear what you're interested in learning or what you're learning at the moment, and maybe we can share some other do's and don'ts that you've kind of picked up along the way.